Hello you and welcome to some Kinda Fox content and welcome back to Twofold First Snow, which is gonna be the last episode because we are at the end of the holiday season week. This is gonna be a biggie because according to my calculation, we still have around 2 to maybe 2.5 hours of gameplay left. But since there are no more days to upload other than today, that means we'll have to do everything today. So this is gonna be a biggie. Apologies for that. I hope you will stick along. But before we head in, I just want to say happy holidays. Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah. And that's where my knowledge ends. I don't know what else is celebrated at this time of year. But regardless of what you celebrate, I hope you have a very, very wonderful day. And with that, let's head into Twofold First Snow. The classroom lies silent, save for the scratching of pencil against paper. I've already finished my math test, the unwillingness to be the first to turn it in being the only thing keeping me glued to my desk. I'm thankful for the chance to rest though. Eileen's pace as we scooted around the zoo took all my effort to keep up with, and then there was the other business we got up to. Someone finally brings his paper to the front, other students following suit soon after. I quickly joined them, eagerly placing my test on the teacher's desk and packing my things afterwards. The last final of the semester is now over. I'm ready to go home and to see Eileen one last time before she leaves for Colorado. Weren't we going with her? Did I misunderstand something?
Hey!
Okay. The loud voice from behind makes me jump in startlement.
Hey.
Oh, Caprice, hey. My heart slowly moves out of my throat, with Caprice and I starting off together towards art club. I'd considered asking Eileen if we could walk back to her apartment together instead, but I couldn't leave without saying my goodbyes to Caprice and Wallace if I could find him. What brings you to my class anyways? Millie wasn't around, so I got lonely. So I'm the second choice, huh? Well, at least I can be around for her. You two really are close, aren't you? Yep, we grew up together and now we even live together, Millie and me and Haley. Wait, who's Haley now? Oh yeah, right. She's our other friend. We take good care of each other. There really are all kinds of relationships. It's so different from high school, where everyone was neatly organized into friends, classmates and strangers, and we all just lived with our parents. Do you have a roommate? What are they like? I do. I don't think you'll like them. I live with a family friend. She's nice, even if she looks a bit rough. I have the apartment to myself a lot, though. The statement seems to give Caprice food for thought. You shouldn't look so tired. School's finally over for the year.
Yeah.
And that's why we're having an extra special art club meeting.
Huh?
Extra special? You'll see what I mean. I have a feeling she's working things out as she goes along. I still can't decide if I like that spontaneity of hers. It's endearing, but there's no sense of stability to her like Eileen has. As we head towards the art building, we spot Eileen just outside, busy huffing into her hands and rubbing them together for a little warmth. It takes a moment for her to notice us.
Eileen.
Hi. As she looks up in my direction, I notice her shoulders relax a little. It wasn't long ago that I only ever saw Eileen tense and on guard, but now she reflexively relaxes when around me. It's nice. For her part, Caprice just bowls on ahead without a care in the world.
Hey!
Eileen tenses right back up as she sees my companion, the moment lost. Still, I'm left rather happy at the effect I have on Eileen, whether she notices it or not.
Afternoon.
You too? Caprice, why are you looking at me like that? It's creeping me out. Caprice grabs onto both our shoulders and, to my surprise, directs us away from the arch building. We've had a change of plans. Do I get any say in this? Once again, Caprice either doesn't hear or choose to ignore the question. By the time we arrive at my apartment and shirk our coats, it's already dark enough to flick the lights on as we enter. Apart from the sound of passing cars, the only sound are Caprice's exaggerated sounds of thoughtful inspection. Eileen raises an eyebrow as Caprice whips out her phone to take a photo for posterity, the item disappearing into her pants pocket almost as quickly as it appeared. Will you just leave that thing? You've been fiddling with your phone on the way here more than Allison does. Hey. Well, it's true. Caprice gives a thumbs up, but it has the opposite effect of if anything. Her agreement is a little too quick given how stubborn Caprice usually is. So, Rose isn't here then. She drifts in and out. I've given up trying to work out any schedule to it.
Cool!
Cool posters. They're my roommates. She's been living here longer than me, so the decorations are all hers. A knock on the door rings out. Four light taps struck with a metronome's timing. Probably Millie. Come in, door's unlocked. What's going on? This is my apartment, you know. Caprice just grins, drawing a grimace from Eileen. What did you think I was on my phone for? I called over some friends. Are we all gonna say, see? I was right. The old door creaks open with Millie's head peering into the living room. Oh, we got Wallace here too! Assured that she's come to the right place, she skips in with the unmistakable figure of Wallace following her like a giant shadow.
Millie!
Millie, have you heard from Haley? Millie answers as she takes off her coat, Wallace doing the same for his scarf.
Hello there.
She's at home, sleeping. Seems like finals tired her out. She never wants to go anywhere. I don't know this Haley, but I feel like I can relate. It's not just about finals or going particular places. Being around people is exhausting in itself. Lately, I've been looking forward to it though, even if it takes a lot out of me. The clinking of bottles draws my attention, looking downward showing a six-pack of bottled beer being carried in one hand and a plastic bag with a couple of brightly colored nacho packets visible inside. Caprice looks up to the two, surprised just as I am by the presents they've brought along. Just a little something for the special event. I can't believe you didn't take the Santa hat that they were offering though.
Not happening.
I'm not wearing a Santa hat, Christmas or not.
Why not? Would have suited you.
Don't you start.
So this was Caprice's plan, a party to celebrate the end of college for the year. I really would have preferred her to just tell me, but there's also a begrudging respect that she apparently managed to organize all this during the short trip from college to my apartment. I'm about to warn Wallace about Millie casting covetous eyes on his beer when Eileen leans over and murmurs in my ear.
Allison.
Is a party here going to be a problem for you?
Sure.
It'll be fine, I think. Satisfied with my answer, she steps over to the couch and takes a seat with a sigh. Despite my waving off of the concern, I appreciate Eileen's sense of responsibility. As we talk, Wallace sets down the beer and chips on the table. Caprice wastes no time in scooting over and ripping open the bag, Millie soon following and taking a seat across from her. The fact she steals one of the beer bottles doesn't go unnoticed.
Millie.
Wallace.
Just the one? It won't hurt, right?
Hey!
Hey, stop hogging the chips! But I'm hungry. Wallace just sighs, defeated as the two bicker over the food. I feel a little sorry for him, but given he did bring them. Make yourself at home. Eileen gestures for me to join her, jerking her head. Giving up any thought that I could control them, I skip over and take a seat on the cushion next to her. As Eileen turns to watch the television, she finds a beer bottle held in front of her face. Looking up to the smiling Wallace offering it, she takes it in her hand.
Merry Christmas, Eileen.
Cheers. Same to you. The two clink their bottles together, popping the lids with a bottle opener on Wallace's keychain before Eileen slouches back into the couch. While the thought passes my mind that the last thing I'd want is an alcohol-fueled mess at my place, those fears are put to rest as the two gently sip away. They're just friends sharing a drink, not partygoers looking to get as drunk as they can. Looking around the room, this sure is low-key for a college party, with just friends drinking and gossiping. It's nice, far from the wild craziness I expected when I heard tales about college when growing up. Guess I fell in with the right crowd. What are you doing hanging out with losers anyway? With us losers anyway, Millie? Riding club not doing anything special?
No, not really.
They're doing this and that, but most of them seem to have plans. The leader and his friends are graduating, so it's going to be up to me to keep the ship sailing. Sounds like you're going to have your hands full next semester then. Always up for a challenge.
Wallace!
Hey, Wallace! Caprice's excited tone as she wolfs down her mouthful of nachos failed to enthuse him. Remember what we talked about at the pizza place? I mean, about your club and all?
No.
No. But...
No.
I like this. Millie grins triumphantly at her friend's expense. I feel a little sorry for Wallace being caught in their rivalry. I'm the only one who notices the creak of the door, my attention woolly focused on it as I wonder who's arrived. Could be Rose. Part of me worries that Caprice organized for more people to come, the girl now bickering with Millie. As the leather-clad woman steps in, everyone in the room suddenly drops into a dead silence as they stare back at her, the woman being just as dumbstruck.
Hey.
Sup? I struggle to stifle a chuckle, never having seen Rose act so awkwardly before. Everyone, this is my roommate Rose. Rose, these are my friends from college. The clarification has the intended effect, everyone relaxing as soon as the words are said. Sure some wild party you got going on here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, actually. I'm left wondering what she's doing as she clicks her fingers and dives back for my coat. After a few minutes fishing about, she manages to plug out my phone. After handing it to me to enter the unlock code, Rose stands back in the corner of the room and holds it up in both hands. Just gonna take a quick photo for the folks here. Smile, guys. Aw, Caprice and Millie need no further prompting, leaning towards each other as Caprice flashes a V and gives a toothy grin. Aw, how cute. I simply lean towards Eileen as she does the same, As we do, I idly note that this will be our first photo together. That's sweet. Aw, look at these guys. As Rose brings the camera steady, I can't stop myself from smiling. I spent so long stressing about being away from my family, but before I knew it, I found myself surrounded by a new one. We might all be a bit odd, but we get along. I found someone to hold dear and who cares for me. We are all in this together, celebrating life in my little slice of the city. I've finally made a life that I can call my own. Thank you, everyone. Rose, Caprice, Wallace, even Millie. And especially Eileen. Act 3, A World Away. One thing I hadn't counted on when asking Eileen if I could come over was how large the distance involved were. I'm already feeling the difference from home. Colorado and Utah might be right next to each other on a map, but all to be seen between them are vast plains of utterly nothing. Wow, why can't I talk all of a sudden? With noon approaching and little else around for miles as we motored down the endless strip of tarmac, Rose made the executive decision to chance this place for some lunch. It's a little chintzy for my taste. The Fox 50s interior decorated with a mishmash of cheap Americana, but Rose is in her element as she stuffs down another hunk of meat. At least it's quiet beyond the cheerful music, given we have the diner to ourselves. Sorry. I'd barely slept all night, not only at the prospect of seeing Eileen's home, but at this being my first trip so far from my own. Right now, though, I'm just glad to be free of the motorbike's vibration and noise. I've finally become used to the odd short trip around the city, but this road trip is something else entirely.
Still getting your back legs, huh?
It's been 4 hours. Ugh, give me a break.
3 more to go.
She digs in once more as I groan and try to swing my legs back to life.
Man, the steaks here are amazing. You're missing out.
I think I'll be fine.
Aw. I take a sip of my milkshake while gauging how best to tackle the huge plate of steaming nachos before me, buried in cheese, sauce, and sour cream. The jalapenos are carefully picked off and sitting to the side. Me too. Aw. There's not much to see out here as I glance out the window. Just an endless plain stretching out to the horizon, an enthusiastic welcome sign at the otherwise invisible border being all that indicated we'd entered a different state. I'm not sure what I expected really. I knew there are no rivers or anything defining the border, but it's a different thing to see that for yourself. It's just so arbitrary. A line on a map, nothing more. Far from being any sort of revelation, it just makes me feel rather silly about being so sheltered. This all probably barely registered to Eileen as she drove along the lonely highway. Rose picks up her phone to check the address I gave her once again, forcing down the current chunk of steak she's eating with a giant gulp.
Still have a while to go, huh? If it's as close to the big city as you've said, we shouldn't have a problem finding the place. So, she's never told you anything about her home? Her family?
Ah, well, not necessarily good things.
She mentioned her sister once.
Oh yeah, there's that. She scratches the back of her head as she thinks.
I don't mean to pry, but I still don't get why she'd come all the way from outside the state to live in Utah. Not that I have anything against the place, I do like it, but it's not exactly where I'd choose if I were her. But coming here just for a community college, that's the part that gets me. I'm not exactly an artist, but from what you've said, she could probably get a scholarship at a proper college. Sounds like she could probably afford tuition even with that one.
Rose looks to me for answers, but I have none. When she puts it that way, there are vast stretches of Eileen's past that are total black spots to me. She leaves me to stew a little as we eat our respective meals, pipping up again as she chews. Piping up again. Pipping.
Remember when you asked me about my family a few weeks ago? And I blew you off? I feel like I should probably explain that.
What if Rose is Eileen's sister? Jesus. That would throw this whole deal out the wazoo.
Not to get too deep into things, I ended up cutting ties with my mom and pop. Given what my family was like, I wanted to have a clean break from them.
Oh. I'm sorry for bringing it up.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Allison say that she was living with a friend of the family? If so, I don't quite get how Rose is so like such a stranger to her. She was like, oh, I've only known this person for 2 weeks. But if it's a friend of the family, shouldn't she know at least a little bit about her? Huh.
I've made peace with it, don't worry. My point is...
Failing to remember, she starts circling her fork in the air.
The point of all this was... Right, Eileen. I'm just saying that there might be a reason she's cagey about her personal life.
I guess that makes sense. My nod earns a comforting grin.
You're a good kid, Allison. I'm sure you'll do fine. In fact, you even taught me a little something. To be honest, I expected to be mothering you around when you first arrived to live with me. That you were some kid I already knew everything about, who I'd be left teaching adult life to. Yeah, I was kinda wrong there.
But you've helped me so much. I couldn't have managed without you around.
You've surprised me so much. You made me rethink how much I know about the world and other folks as an adult. I got a little arrogant without even realizing it, and you brought me down to earth. I thought adulthood was about knowing everything, but it's actually about admitting how much you don't know. I wanted to thank you for teaching me that.
Satisfied with her explanation, Rose quickly gets back to her precious steak. Left in thought, I get back to my own food. I didn't realize I could have such an impact on another's life, let alone Rose's. I look up to her so much that I forgot we're both just muddling through life together. Eileen's lived so much of her life in a solitary manner that maybe opening up to me isn't as easy. Maybe she just doesn't want to give her past experiences. Wow, let's try that again. God, I can't read right now. Maybe she just doesn't want to, given her past experiences.
Eileen aside, this trip's probably a good thing. It'll push you out of your own comfort zone a little. You've already grown in the time I've been bunking with you. Just hang in there, right?
Aw.
Thanks. I will.
Atta girl.
Sharing a smile, we get back to our food. Of all the people I might have ended up with as a roommate, someone like Rose was among the last I expected. Maybe she's just the sort of person who was best for me. The two of us find ourselves in a surprisingly quaint little corner of America. A heavily forested town with snow-covered pines visible no matter which direction you look. Wood seems to be the norm for building around here rather than concrete. I find it quite charming, actually. I was worried I'd be awkwardly roaming through some manicured slice of suburbia, but this feels closer to a friendly country town, almost something from one of Eileen's westerns.
Just give me a call the day before you want to come back, alright?
I will. Thanks again for all this. I know it's a really long way.
Don't worry, it's a nice ride out to here anyway. Might stick around a bit before heading back.
As she walks back to her bike, she stops and turns around once more, raising her hand in farewell.
If you ever want to give me a call, go ahead. It's no problem. I'll be seeing you, Allison.
Bye, Rose. Thanks for everything.
She beams a smile as she gets back on her bike, fitting her helmet before kicking back the stand. With a flick of her wrist and press of her foot, her bike roars to life, Rose sailing off down the road and around the corner, out of sight. I do my best to appear as natural as I turn back to the house before me, duffel bag of clothes slung over my shoulder. The scenery around here is nice and there's hardly a crowd. In fact, I'm the only person around at all. Now that I get a good look at it, Eileen's house sure is big. My eyes slowly scan around as I slowly make my way down to the front garden path, taking in every detail. I guess being outside the city would make bigger houses a little more affordable. With a gulp, I gingerly press the doorbell beside the solid oaken door, quickly brushing my clothes with my hands afterwards to look as presentable as possible. Even as muffled footsteps approach, I'm trying to flick a little snow from my hair. As Eileen opens the door, I'm greeted by a warm smile. That reflexive reaction at the sight of me makes me feel better already.
Fancy seeing you here.
I made it. In the end.
Enjoy the bike ride?
Yeah, it was great.
I can't feel my legs. I don't think I managed to make that very convincing. Looking at each other, I think we both realize we're just making small talk. She leans forward, the two of us sharing a momentary kiss before she nods for me to come in. It's strange how such a simple action can feel so nice every time, my heart skipping even from the most gentle peck. I obediently follow her inside, closing the door behind me as I do.
Dad, she's here.
Uh-oh. Eileen's cut off by the sound of soaked footsteps on carpet rapidly approaching. A small figure suddenly skips around the corner of the stairs and out into the entranceway, nearly barreling straight into Eileen before stopping herself. This is probably the sister! With both of us taken by surprise, the small girl examines me, likely around 10 by the looks of her. It's difficult not to see a bit of Eileen in her face.
Hello there.
She quickly shuffles behind Eileen in response, her apprehensive face peering out from safety. Eileen just gives a sigh in response. Oh, that's sweet.
Welcome to the family.
The smell of freshly cooked chicken wafts in the air, the skin still steaming away with an appetizing glint. The line of plates down the center of the table hardly lacks for sides either, with potato salad, coleslaw, lettuce, and other greens. While I'm thankful for the luxurious dinner before me, it's a rather quick introduction to her family. I can't help but feel intimidated when surrounded by everyone at once. With her father already preparing dinner as Eileen let me in and her mother arriving from work only soon after, it was unavoidable. That being the case, here we all are, gathered around one big table. While not exactly a mansion, it's obvious Eileen's family lives very comfortably. I'd probably be green with envy at how well off they are, if not for being so self-conscious of how to act in front of them.
I suppose some proper introductions are in order now that we're all together. I'm Eileen's father, Andrew, and this is my lovely wife, Elizabeth.
A pleasure. And you would be Allison?
Oh, yes. Allison Merlot.
My nerves seems to amuse her father as he gives a reassuring smile.
This isn't a job interview. You can relax.
Aw.
Right, yeah, sorry.
It's always a little intimidating. You feel very small the first time you meet your significant others, like family, and you're just stuck in that place amongst basically strangers, and you're like, hi, I let out a long breath to try and relax a little, though it doesn't really work.
Well, now, let's dig in. I'm no chef, but it hopefully shouldn't give you food poisoning.
Smiling politely at his attempt to lighten the mood, I start to ladle this and that from the large plates, my mouth already watering at the prospect of so much wonderful smelling food. Rose might be many things, but she isn't a cook. Satisfied with my selection of meat and salads, I pile some potato salad onto my fork and tentatively have a taste. My reaction seems to draw some smiles as I make progress on the meal, but I'm so enamored with the food I can't help but keep going.
It's nice to see Eileen's already made friends in college.
Oh, we're more than friends, actually. A brief panic comes over me as I realize we haven't talked this over. Is she out to her parents? Ooh, yeah, that's a good point. Are we going to play this as simply friends? As I'm all over how to handle things, Eileen's voice cuts through.
Allison's my girlfriend. I probably should have mentioned that earlier.
Everything seems to stop for a moment.
Yes, you should have.
I thought you said having a girlfriend wouldn't be a problem.
You know that isn't what I'm talking about. This isn't the first time you've kept us in the dark since moving out.
Oh, and this is an even worse feeling when you get caught in between some like awkwardness, when the family starts like at each other, and you're just like oh, hi. I have to admit that I can sympathize with her mother, which puts me in a delightfully awkward spot. Eileen's father makes no attempt to mediate as he eats, which is probably the best approach.
I didn't think I needed to report back on everything I did.
Don't you think this is important enough to warrant a phone call?
Neither Eileen nor her mother raise their voice, even eating the odd bit of food as they quibble. The argument almost feels routine, which, going by her father's reaction, might well be the case. Even her sister is still eating, albeit with badly hidden glances.
I mean, our daughter's first girlfriend. Isn't it nice she gained something from college?
Ouch. She looks pointedly to her husband with just an edge of snark to her voice, but he, perhaps smartly, simply acknowledges her with a smile. Dropping that on them, here and now, is quite the decision. I'm beginning to wonder why I thought this was a good idea. I can't read her parents at all, but I can already tell my presence here is only increasing a tension that usually permeates this household.
Well, you know now.
At least Eileen dating a girl isn't a problem in and of itself. Eileen's father finally pipes up as their argument peters out, taking a swig of his wine to wash down his food.
Setting all that aside, it sounds like college in Utah is working out well for the both of them.
Her father gives a brief chuckle, maybe sensing some tense mood. He seems down to earth and relaxed, especially compared to her mother. That said, I get a vague feeling of being a foreigner, and not just because I'm in a different city, as if there's a certain social etiquette that I'm not quite aware of, but everyone else is following naturally.
Quite. So, tell us about yourself, Allison.
I'm good with numbers. Attention now focused on me, I freeze up. I must have expected this would come up. Judging by their conversation, Eileen probably told them nothing about me. This feels like introduction on the first day of elementary school all over again.
Let's see. I go to the same college as Eileen. I've lived in the same city my whole life, but I moved a little closer to campus before semester started, so I'm still getting used to that.
So you're an art student like Eileen?
Oh, no. I'm nowhere near her level. I'm actually on a science scholarship.
Science, huh?
She sounds immediately interested, her eyebrows raised, but all I can offer is an evasive dodge. I don't know how to say that I'm not really excited about it, even if I apparently have some talent.
We are in the art club together, though. We met through the mutual friend who made it.
I see.
Her previous curiosity suddenly hits a wall, her entire demeanor changing. Did I say something wrong? The abrupt change in tone completely breaks my train of thought, unsure whether to continue or clear things up. The other problem I have is the feeling of someone's eyes drilling into me. Eileen's mother notices as my eyes shifts beside her, hand holding the little girl's back to reassure her.
Come on, dear. Be the light.
The effort doesn't seem to move her, the girl resisting as her suspicious face shrinks behind her daintily patterned children's plate.
Don't be silly.
My name's Eve.
Hello, Eve.
Nice to meet you, Eve. That's a lovely name.
I keep smiling, but her pouting shows my charm offensive isn't working out. Once again, Eileen comes to the rescue, speaking up as I try to think of another way to overcome her distrust. Well, I think this is only natural because obviously Eileen and Eve have a very close relationship. And now someone else comes in and becomes, takes a chunk out of that relationship. So I think given her age and the relationship she has with her, Eileen, I think this is a very natural response.
Are you going to be like this all night?
Eve just huffs and starts shoveling food into her mouth. The size of her spoon and the table before her makes the attempt at seriousness look more amusing than anything else. Aw.
Don't mind her. She'll come around.
She might say that, but I was hoping her cute little sister might be a little warm towards me. At least her mother has given up questioning me for now.
Oh, I almost forgot to tell you. The spare guest room's just been cleaned out a few days ago, so you can use that while you're here.
Thank you very much. I'm really sorry to impose so much on you.
You have charm going for you. Wouldn't you say, Eileen?
Eileen grimaces, her mother embarrassing her in that particular way only a parent knows how. I can already feel my eyelids getting heavy as I lean back into the wonderfully soft couch. The exhaustion of the trip and meeting with Eileen's folks finally catching up to me as I rest in the living room. The fireplace happily crackles away near the Christmas tree, the cozy room all the warmer thanks to the heat of the shower still lingering on my skin. All that can be heard are the fire and the faint clanking of dishes as Eileen's parents wash up, recounting the day's events between them. I very nearly succumb to my doziness before Eileen walks in, pulling back her still slightly wet hair. The sight of her in pajamas wakes me up a little, though I quickly try to move my gaze elsewhere. She practically collapses onto the couch beside me, staring up at the ceiling for a while to collect herself. I catch myself staring at her, but if she minds, she doesn't show it. What a day. That goes for both of us. I almost mentioned the argument Eileen had with her mother, but I can't work out how I want to phrase it. Maybe it's for the best that Eileen preempts me. So, how was the trip now that we can talk properly? The times we stopped were good. You're braver than I am. Couldn't pay me enough to get on one of those things. Come on. I'm sure you'd be a natural at it. No way. Your roommate's crazy for using it as her only transportation. Your parent seems nice. Eileen just shrugs. I wish they were a little more subtle. About what? Being so specific that you'll use the guest room, not mine. My cheeks flush scarlet as I connect the dots.
Huh?
Did you just realize what that was about?
Oh,
No. With the being nice and all. I'm still embarrassed to talk about it. Eileen finds amusement in how flustered I am. I bury my face in my hands. Never change. If I had lied and said we were just friends, I wonder if they would have been so adamant about the two of us not sharing a room. I peek at her from behind my hands. I don't really know what to say. I don't know enough about her parents to say anything, actually. Maybe that would have been better, huh? Her smile returns and she leans in towards me. I can feel my face going redder. My heart burning in my chest. All I can do is lean in to meet her. Eileen closes her eyes, our lips meeting for one brief moment. As I pull back, the two of us look at each other and smile, partly from happiness and partly from our sheepiness. It's going to be a while before this comes naturally, I guess. As I watch her, though, Eileen's face slowly collapses into frustration. What's wrong?
everything's wrong.
Aw. Eileen makes no secret of her displeasure as she sighs and takes to her feet, confronting the small and very unhappy girl before us. It stings to be so close only to be interrupted.
Eve.
Eileen's sister takes little notice, directing her pouting towards the object of her annoyance. That would be me.
She's my sister. I finally get to play with Eileen after so long, and you keep hugging her.
Yeah, exactly. See? I told you.
Wanna play, do you?
Eileen flits behind Eve while she busy ranting at me, bringing her arms around the child's midsection and lifting her up against her chest with ease. As Eve finds her feet dangling a couple of inches from the carpet, she begins flailing, about to grab a foothold.
Let go of me!
Wow, you haven't grown at all.
That'll definitely help calm her down. To no surprise, the two starts fighting. Eve's slight body jerking this way and that as Eileen plants her feet and refuses to let go despite her squirming around.
I'll tell Mom on you!
And what? She'll ground me?
Eve fruitlessly continues to struggle, arms and legs flailing about in the air. For all her frustration and growling, her acting out just makes Eileen all the more amused as she teases her little sister. Watching the two have their little sibling scuffle, it reminds me of my brothers at home. For the first time, my nerves about being here fade a little. Sitting on the side of the bed I'll be using for a week, I idly watch the news on the small television placed on a cabinet. The little speakers on the device try valiantly, but the voices are so tiny I can barely understand them. It's 10:30 in the evening, going by the clock in the corner of the broadcast. Adulthood's weird. Now that I can go to sleep whenever I want without my parents disapproving, I dutifully do so at a reasonable time anyway so I can be fresh for school. The fact I'm actually watching the news nowadays too is strange. Bored of the reports about trucks being stuck after sliding around on the road, I let myself flop back onto the soft blankets as it drones on. Lacking the energy to do much else, I lazily stare upwards. Yet another unfamiliar ceiling above me. It feels like everything is constantly changing these days. My old home sure didn't have a guest bedroom, let alone one that's so nicely furnished. Here I was thinking I'd be squeezing into Eileen's bed. Not that I'd had minded that at all. for all the lovely things she has here, though Eileen seems to be intentionally trying to distance herself from her parents. I don't understand it at all. She might have told me not to pry into her life, but it's hard to ignore what's right in front of my face. I quickly shuffle myself up at the sound of the opening door sliding across the carpet. With a gentle touch, Eileen gingerly closes the door behind her. I thought everyone to be asleep by now, but maybe I should have expected her of all people to still be up.
Eileen.
She puts a finger over her lips as she turns back before walking up, climbing onto the bed and facing me as I twist around. The two of us end up sitting in its center. Shouldn't you be sleeping? Same goes for you. She has me there, far from the quiet feeling awkward. I find myself smiling at our secret rendezvous. It feels like we're kids having a sleepover. Too bad the movie's just news instead of some horror movie we snuck past our parents. You did that? Once. My friends were so freaked out we went back to the usual horrible romance stuff. There's nothing wrong with romance movies. Her face makes it abundantly clear this is a difference of opinion that'll never be bridged. I have to admit, there is one thing different to back then. 2. Eileen's body is really hard to ignore when we are like this. As much as I try to distract myself from the subject, she did sneak into my bedroom at night. What's wrong? No, nothing. It's just you're really pretty. Huh? It isn't often I catch her being so my God, read! It isn't often I catch her being bashful, but I think this might finally be one of those times. My moment of victory is brief, though, with Eileen's quick movement towards me taking me all the more off guard. Unable to make sense of the girl suddenly lunging at me, the both of us are sent falling backwards into the soft mattress. It takes a couple of seconds to collect myself and work out what's happened, time seeming to stop as I'm left staring upwards at the pair of emerald eyes above me. I'm pinned, I think. A brief attempt to right myself ends in little more than a couple of weak jerks, Eileen holding my arms to the thick sheets with her body weight. Silence reigns, my vision filled with her face looking downwards. I have no idea what to say as my heart beats wildly in my chest, yet she doesn't say a word.
Eileen, what are you...
I missed you.
How am I supposed to respond to that? Were her face any different, I'd think it an invitation, but there's a sincerity there that takes me off guard. I wonder how often I've seen her face, or anyone's, from this close, and for so long. I can't help but stare upwards, trying my best to read that face I so often can't. As I do, though, I realize something. She's doing just the same. Maybe she's scared of forcing me to do something I don't want to, or afraid of getting too close too fast. Maybe she's simply like I am, unused to being looked at this intently. Either way, she isn't leering over me. Eileen's genuinely unsure what to do next. Whatever the reason, I can't help but smile a little.
Did I say something wrong?
I was just thinking how you're still the same as ever.
What's that supposed to mean?
I answer her confusion by lifting my chin a little in invitation. Not that I can move much more. Without any further prompting needed, she presses her lips to mine with a satisfied sigh. It isn't long before our tongues move about, her breath tinkling on my face. I squirm around roughly as the atmosphere gets heavier between us, Eileen easily keeping me down. It's a little exciting to be playing like this, and she shows no sign of letting up. A shiver runs up my spine as I find her thigh between my legs in my fidgeting about, my heart beginning to race with ideas of this and that. With lips affectionately breaking and meeting, Eileen barely letting me take so much as a breath, I can't help but think back to the first time we did this. Frick! Then several sharp thuds against the door ring out. My entire body freezes, my heart nearly jumping out of my chest. The both of us freeze up as I break from our kissing to look over, hoping against hope that the door doesn't creak open.
It's getting late, Allison.
Why now, of all times? I can only thank my lucky stars that we've been quiet, but being one door handle turned from being seen like this is far too close for comfort.
Right. Sorry, I'll go to bed soon.
That was remarkably more natural than I thought I'd be able to pull off.
Thank you. If you need anything, just ask. Sleep well.
Thanks. Good night.
As her footsteps go down the hallway, the both of us heave a great sigh. The mood's completely gone as the both of us look at each other. I suppose this is one benefit of Eileen having her own apartment. I run my hands through my hair to settle myself down as Eileen sits back on the bed, wisely letting a few minutes go by before trying to slip out of my room. I also missed living alone. Well, that was annoying. See you tomorrow, I guess. Have a good sleep. With that, she slips off the bed, quietly shuffling across the room before pausing a moment before turning the handle. As I pick myself up to wish her a good night, she curtly turns back. To be honest, I think you look really pretty too. I don't manage to form a reply before she skitters out the room. Then again, my scarlet cheeks probably did the job for me. Rubbing sleep from my eyes as I slowly drag myself to the living room, a restrained yawn heralds my entrance. I thought I might have trouble getting to sleep in an unfamiliar place, but after everything that happened, I crashed almost immediately. Looks like Eileen's family are early risers. Noises from the kitchen, presumably being from her parents, while the television blares away just ahead. The fire's crackling would make it quite a cozy scene, if not for being interspersed with cartoon voices. Eve sits on the couch as I glance down, already bundled up in her winter outfit like a puffy ball of clothing. Eagerly watching the morning cartoons, her legs swing away as she happily munches on a bowl of brightly colored cereal. I can't help but smile, reminded of my own childhood. The show and the setting might be different, but the innocence is just the same. I forgot what this simple experience felt like. I take a seat beside the oversized hamster, Eve barely acknowledging my presence before Eileen pops in from the kitchen and calls out to me. Looks like the coffee in her hand hasn't kicked in quite yet.
Allison.
Want any food? There's toast and cereal if you want. I don't usually eat breakfast. Thanks though. Shrugging in response, the tired Eileen heads back out. Despite settling down to watch Eve's cartoon with her, I can't help but eavesdrop as the conversation between Eileen and her mother can be heard from the living room. Uh-oh.
Any plans for the day?
I was going to study for school.
Real studying? Not just drawing?
Ouch. The cartoon's loud exclamations punctuate the short silence that forms Eileen's reply.
Should have known. I've seen your marks from high school. I just want you to do well. Maybe you can have Allison help. She seems to have a good head on her shoulders.
Again, ouch.
She's been helping me with my math already.
And here I was, worrying about who you might end up with for a girlfriend.
You know I can handle myself fine. Why worry?
Because I'm your mother. That's why.
Eileen doesn't exactly sound whatever that word is. Viewed something by the comments, but I have to admit that the praise is nice to hear. It is a bit sad to hear her mother doesn't approve of her pursuing art though. I wonder how tempered this exchange is, thanks to them keeping things together since I'm around. Morning, you two.
Going out, dear?
Oh,
Just swinging into town to grab paper and milk. Want to come along?
Eve, Allison, we're heading out for a moment.
Okay.
We're going by your favorite shop, Eve.
I'm coming! Don't you dare go without me! She drops her almost finished ball onto the coffee table so hastily that it nearly spills, skittering out the door with a faint pitter-patter on the carpet. It's amazing how much energy kids have. Eileen's parents gives a short farewell as they escort Eve out, the girl racing out straight to the car, to be a child again, filled with excitement for the next car trip or television show. With her family out the door, Eileen watches them drive off before heading over. I shift over a little as she drops onto the couch, setting her coffee down with somewhat more care than her sister's cereal. I give a loud stretch, but rather than being out of tiredness, it's more to calm myself as my heart starts beating in anticipation. We're finally alone, for real this time. As I look over to Eileen, it's obvious that she has the same idea as she turns off the television. Sorry. Want to pick up where we left off last night? I want to, but isn't it kind of early for this? She has to think that one through. It'll wake us up. I'm not giving any chance to respond as she presses her lips to mine. Not that I particularly wanted to argue the fact. This will likely be the last time we can share a moment like this for a good while. The snow makes a satisfying sound as I pat it down, each handful making the sphere before me that little bit larger. It's surprising how much physical work putting a snowman together is, but this is my first time making one this size. Standing out on the front lawn in the cold of early morning, I keep patiently patting away at my creation, slowly but surely building him up. I've been wanting to make a snowman for a while now, but between moving, studying, and hanging out with others, there just hasn't been much time. While I might have wanted to keep lazing around with Eileen, her family probably won't take much longer to get back, and she wanted to keep practicing her art. If nothing else, at least we're both a lot more awake now. It's rather nice to be out here despite the cold, and given some much needed time to unwind. I think I'm living up to the expectations of Eileen's family, but living in another's home under the gaze of strangers is still stressful. Not that I'm alone out here. The odd squirrel flits about in the distance between the trees, and birds can be heard chirping away from the pines. I wonder if Eileen, for her love of the outdoors, appreciates the sounds of nature around here. Even if you're the only person around, you're never really alone. The air is nice here, too. Fresh, with just a hint of pine wafting from the trees. It's only when a car door clangs shut behind me that I realize I've become so distracted with my surroundings. Her father makes idle mention of how little traffic they encountered as they passed into the house, with her mother guessing that the cars must be going in the direction of the city instead. Eve bounces out of the car after them before stopping to spy on what I'm up to. Ah, a snowman! Yep, never had the time to make one back home. Want to build one too? Yeah! Needing no further prompting, she enthusiastically rushes past me and crushes down, pushing together snow with her tiny gloved hands. The two of us start working away, with her snowman slowly starting to take form next to mine. Oh, that's sweet. There's almost a therapeutic feel to it all, relaxing outside as I see the large snowman coming together with each little step. Even Eve seems to have quieted down, focused fully on her work. Maybe this is a bit what sculpture is like. It's satisfying to build something with my own hands and see an object form where there was nothing before. Looking over to Eve's snowman as I go, I'm impressed with how quickly she managed it. She managed to get something together, the slightly lopsided figure roughly equal to her height.
Wow. You must have lots of practice.
She continues working away at it, making a bit of a show of pounding the snow into shape with both hands, her entire upper body being put into it.
Eileen taught me how to make snowmen.
There's a bit of hesitation still, as if reminded herself that she shouldn't talk too much to the strangers suddenly hanging around her sister. Hopefully the fun of sharing the experience might help distract her.
It sounds like you and Eileen are really close.
I don't get to play with her much now that she's moved out.
Yeah, there's also that. This just dawned on me. Eve also has to come to terms with the fact that Eileen is now an adult, so she might not be as playful as and childish as she were when she lived back home. And her moving out also, so she's not around all the time. And there's a lot in this for Eve too. Let's not forget that.
I miss her when she goes away, but Mom and Eileen always argue when she's home.
You could visit her back in Utah, maybe. I'm sure she'd like the company.
Dad says we will, but he's always got work. I want to see her paintings.
Sorry.
She was always making them before she went away.
About that, maybe not.
Her paintings are really pretty, aren't they?
Yeah, but Mom said it's not a real job, so Eileen gets mad.
Maybe not a real job, but it is for sure a passion. You should never throw away a passion.
What about Dad?
Dad said he thinks the same, but that they shouldn't fight so much over it.
Sounds like they don't get along very well.
Hey, can you make Eileen happier?
Oh gosh darn, that's cute.
I'll certainly do my best.
Satisfied with the best answer I could drum up, she goes back to work on her snowman, little hands collecting some more snow to pat on. I might say that, but I don't really know where to begin now that I think about it. She's done a lot for me, but when I think back to when we've been together, all I've been able to do around her is watch as she draws and paints. I'm just getting myself worried over her. As she said, Eileen's perfectly capable of looking after herself. It's not like she needs me to be happy. Trying to stop myself from dwelling, I focus on patting the head of my snowman some more to make it a bit less rectangular.
Do you paint too?
Not really. I just draw cute things.
I draw too! Can I show you my drawings later?
Sure, that'd be great.
As she beams a grin, I am glad to finally be making headway with her. I never thought I'd be bonding through messing about in the snow. Have you shown Mom and Dad? She probably hasn't because she's picked up on the fact that art is a bad thing. They're always busy, so I can't always show them. Okay, there's that too. My nanny's seen all of them though. She's nice. A nanny, huh? I suppose you don't get to live this nicely without some sacrifices. I wonder if Eileen was raised by a nanny too. Ooh. I wonder if either of them ever really connected with their parents. As we work away on our creations, the door opens once more. Looking around to see who it is, a familiar figure strides up. I do worry about her long boots in the slippery snow, but she doesn't seem bothered.
Huh?
What are you two doing? Aw, sweet. Making snowmen! You don't say. Well, if you want some lunch instead of freezing out here making snowmen all day, come in from the cold already.
Aw,
but I want to make him better. Must be the ultimate snowman, conqueror of Europe. Eileen studies her work for a moment before reaching over towards me. Too confused to respond, I just stand there as Eileen's hands reach over and take my scarf in their grip. Unwinding it from my neck, she silently walks over to Eve's snowman and smartly wraps it around what's probably supposed to be the neck. That looks cool. There, you'll be happier now that he's less cold. He'll still be here when you get back, so go and eat something. Your show is starting, you know. Shocked that she might be missing even a minute, she completely drops any attention she had on the snowman and stomps off as quickly as her restricting clothing allows. It's obvious Eileen has Eve wrapped around her little finger. All I'm left to do is stare at Eileen, pouting. I don't want to go to dinner. You can grab your scarf back when Eve gets bored of making him. I was going to use it on my own, snowman, kinda. Not gonna be beaten by a 10-year-old. Wanted to out-art her.
Seriously?
I swear you're worse than her sometimes. The sound of Saturday morning kids show fills the living room as I walk back in, each hand carefully balancing a bowl of cereal. Eve sits quietly, wholly focused. I almost said hocus pocus. Wholly focused on watching television. While still something of a work in progress, she seems more content to let me hang around now, even if she doesn't engage much. Maybe simply being friendly company is enough for her. Despite being the weekend, Eve's parents are out once again. This time they're with Eileen to check how her car is going. Of all the ways Eileen's home is different to my own, it's the sheer quiet that most gets me. With few cars around nor people nearby, there's only the odd, boisterous bird outside to make noise. I could get used to small town fun like this. My spacing out is interrupted as the main door shuts with a loud thud. A familiar figure striding past.
Hey.
Welcome back. How's the car? It's fine. We're heading out once Dad's finished poking at it, by the way. Sure. Where are we going? You'll see. Finish your breakfast for now. I'll get your clothes out and pack everything. Isn't this a bit of a rush? I still have sleep in my eyes from waking up, and she's usually a zombie at this time of morning. Still standing around with balls in my hands, I hold them out and look down, checking that I'm not going crazy and did actually dress myself this morning. But I'm already dressed. Not for where we're going. Cool boy. The quiet morning is only punctuated by the crunch of snow underfoot, the occasional birds chirping, and the jangle of items from our backpack. Apart from the woman plodding ahead before me and the footprints she leaves behind, all that I can see are pine trees, as much snow on their branches as greenery. Oh, and the puff of condensation from our breath. The scenery is nice, at least. I'd hardly expected to be spending today hiking through the forest when she dragged me out of the house, but so far it's been a pleasant way to spend the day. Tired as my legs may be, Eileen's pace doesn't falter. The hiking clothes she lent me hangs off my frame, but I suppose that should have been expected given our height difference. They're very comfortable though, and most of all warm. Picked a good day for all of this. Not exactly warm, but at least it's not bitterly cold. She says this with all the care that one might give when looking out the window of a morning. Out the window of a morning? Huh. Eileen really seems to be treating this as almost an everyday activity. The fact we need bear spray out here also weighs on my mind. Apparently being black bear country, Eileen simply carries it in stride. Frickin' Wallace gonna come running. And so we keep plodding ahead. On the plus side, the air is nice and fresh up here. The odd huge bird squawking as it flies above us. Its calls echoing around the mountains, making for a nice atmosphere. When we are alone like this, her family feels like the elephant in the room. There's so much I want to talk to her about, but I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say since she told me not to pry. Then don't. Just enjoy the moment for now. Please. Wanting to fill the air with something, I end up settling for the mildest of small talk. I should just keep my mouth shut, because apparently I can't speak. So you're experienced at this, huh?
Sure.
Yeah, been for a few hikes around here. Played outside a lot as a kid, ended up adventuring more and more until I started hiking. With your father or?
No.
No, alone. It's nice to have some time to myself. Without a doubt, Eileen has to be the most solitary person I've ever met. Maybe this explains her abrasiveness towards her parents, but it feels a little unfair for her to take it out on them. Coming out here's been a real help with my art too. But we're running out of breath. I have to stop and take a moment to collect myself. My natural pace is slower than Eileen's, making this hike all the more taxing. How's all of this related to art? Jesus, can we hold for a minute here? The more life experience you have, the more inspiration you have. Hard to create anything of worth while stuck in the four walls of my room. You need input to be able to create output. That's how culture works. Yeah, guess you're right. Thinking on her words as I turn and start moving once more, Eileen's voice calls out.
Allison.
Watch out! There's a stone there! Might attack you! Good thing I brought my stone spray too. I look at my feet, quickly stepping around the dangerous trip hazards. If it weren't so big, I'd move out the way for future people coming here. I'd move it out of the way. I took this route a lot as a kid. It'd probably be the easiest way to make it through this area, but you still have to keep an eye out. My breathing heavy and arms spaghetti, I come to the grim realization that Eileen must have been far more fit when she was young than I am now. Sorry. I'm a total city kid, I guess. You're plenty smart, but you can't just pick up everything from books and internet, you know? I don't really know how to receive that half compliment, half criticism here. Is this where Eileen picked up her independence, hiking in the woods alone? It's not like it's bad out here. The air and the sounds and everything are nice. I just can't imagine doing this alone. Not just because I'm barely being pulled along as it is. Do you think maybe we can rest soon? I'm seeing stars. I'm not even looking at the sky. Going by the frown on her face, Eileen is clearly disappointed with my request. We've barely started. There's a resting place I want to reach, but we can't stop every few minutes if we want to get back by sundown. Jesus. Just how far does she plan to take us? Jesus, are we walking to Canada? The sound of the river getting louder and louder as we walk before the two of us finally reach a clearing after a couple of hours or so of hiking. This has to be the best sound in the world. Just shh, and listen. Let's just give it like 10 seconds. Oh my god, I love it. It's seriously my favorite sound. Running water. Despite barely being able to walk, I've kept myself from complaining anymore, not wanting Eileen to be disappointed in me again. With the two of us slowing to a stop as she looks around, it seems we'll be finally making a pit stop here. Same as it always was. Looks like nobody's messed with it. I'm about to ask what's so significant about this place before she bends down and sweeps some snow off a few large rocks. showing them to be purposely set in a small circle. Here, have a seat. Setting herself down on a particularly large rock, I quickly follow her lead and sit next to her. Looks like most of the rocks here were carefully set in the ground to make a little campsite, positioned next to the gently flowing river. My legs are happy I get to sit down. Looks like you've come here before. God, I can't feel my legs again. I ended up building this place up into a little base camp over the years. Bears kept taking out anything I brought in or set up, but at least they leave the rocks and ditches alone. Jesus. Eileen makes herself comfortable as she pulls out a tin and thermos to pour herself some water, while I cup my hands and huff into them to warm up a little bit. With the two of us settling down to recover for a while, I listen to the sounds around us. It's so different to my own home, with the sounds of cars and crowds replaced by the river slowly trickling and various birds and other wildlife. Somehow, it isn't a surprise this is the kind of place Eileen would like. As she sits out here thinking to herself, she looks like part of the scenery, just as she did in her quiet art room. At least until Caprice and I made it decidedly less quiet. Then there's me, in my oversized clothes and labored breath. It's peaceful. Yeah. I thought my apartment was quiet, but it's nothing like this.
Huh?
Your place wasn't quiet at all when I was there. Constant cars, construction, and people walking by. I'm not like you. I've only ever lived in the big city. I was worried about being so far from home, but I think I like it here. Playing with Eve has been fun too. Your family has been really nice to me as well. Eileen's face sours, making me immediately regret adding that last little addendum. Again, I have never heard that word. Or more to the point, that lecturing tone. I want to understand her, but she only gives me small pieces to work with, not enough to puzzle things together. I knew my sudden intrusion into her home would be at least a little awkward, but I've begun to realize Eileen's resistance to bringing me here was about more than that. She did tell you not to try to fix things. For now, let it rest.
Eileen.
I started speaking before even gathering my thoughts. This isn't a great start. Just what is it that makes you want to be away from them so much? To move to a different state? I mean, is it just about your choice of career, or... Can we not bring all that up? I came here exactly to get away from my parents being on my case. And then there was silence. That explains her rush in the morning to organize our hiking trip out here, especially if she was stuck with her parents while they gave her car a spin around town. So what am I even here for? Something up? I thought you brought me out here because you wanted to share it with me. I was really excited to see the kinds of things you did growing up. Her face tells me that she hadn't even considered that reasoning. I feel a little stupid for attaching so much feeling to this now. Well, I mean, it wouldn't be a good look if I left you back at the house while I wasted time out here. So, this was just stress relief for her. Even now, she's not looking at me, probably more busy thinking things over with regards to her family. I open my mouth to try and ask her about it, but I can't work out what to say. I'm just here because she feels obligated to invite me. I guess I should have realized she doesn't want me here. She didn't want me here at her home at all. I'm the invader. I'm in her space. It's no wonder she treated me like a burden this entire walk. If I was going to get in her way, she should have just said so. In the end, the only reason I even know anything about her disagreement with her parents is because Eve told me. Eileen doesn't want me to know. For now, I'll just have to be content as a spectator, looking into her life without getting too involved. I quickly looked to her, but rather than acting contrite, she's pointing to my left side with her gaze confused. Do you also see that big bear? An insect seems to be lazily crawling around on the top of my left hand. The thing about a fingernail in length and jet black. I don't recognize it, but it looks harmless enough. To be honest, I couldn't care less about the little beetle right now. You're not worried? Should I be? Well, I mean, most people don't like bugs crawling on them much. I shrug, leaning down to press the side of my hand to the cold ground while gently persuading the bug to get off with my other hand. After a bit of effort, the little fella gets off my glove and onto the soil, scampering off a little faster for the experience. It won't hurt me. What? Just another of your animal friends? I'm not exactly in the mood for being teased. It's the kind of thing you can learn in books or on the internet. Ha! Eileen laughs it off, but I'm sure she can tell I'm being snippy. With that, she stands up, putting her thermos and cup back into her backpack before dusting herself off. Ready to keep going then? We still got the afternoon ahead of us.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. I try to put as much enthusiasm into it as I can muster, but I get the distinct feeling that I'm just along for the ride now. And so she pushes forward without looking back at me. Cold air between them. This is always where I am with her. Whether I'm watching Eileen paint or watching her hike, I'm always far behind her with my eyes on her back. With a wave to her father as his car disappears down the road, Eve takes my hand in hers as we start off down the street. With the weather particularly nice today and Eve needing to burn off some energy, we decided to take a grand tour of the local town. Her pace is thankfully slower than her sister's, with my sore legs needing a rest after the excursion yesterday. I'd wanted to do this with Eileen, but she couldn't be dissuaded from painting in her room. There wasn't much fight in me to argue with her, so that was that. Maybe some time away from her is for the best. Even people who like each other sometimes need a break, I think. Yeah. The old wooden storefront hardly looms over us, being mostly just a couple of stories tall, themselves dwarfed by the forested hills behind. Strolling around is a much nicer way to take it in than clutching to Rose on the back of her bike. It's nice here. Kinda boring sometimes though. Thinking about it, I could see that being the case for a child. The few people out and about today are basically all graying older folk, hobbling along as I look around us. Such a pleasant atmosphere has its downsides. My thinking's interrupted by a ping from my pocket. As we stop for a moment, I plug my phone from my pocket and unlock it. Who is it? Just my dad asking how I'm doing. As she stands on tiptoes trying to look over the phone in curiosity, I get an idea. Crouching a little and bringing the phone level with her as she sets herself back down, I try to hold it steady. I'll take a photo. Yes! I'll send him a photo. Stay still. In response, Eve fixes her posture to stand up prime and proper, dusting herself off to look as good as possible. It's charming how seriously she takes this. With a tap and a click, the photo is saved and quickly sent on to Dad as a message. Sounds like things are the same as ever then. I smile and lock the phone once more, slipping it back where it belongs. I have to stop myself from counting down the days left here. I don't want to start regretting this trip and once again wishing I was home. Hey, what's your family like? Totally different, I'll say that much. I have mom, dad, 3 brothers, and a cat. We all live in the city and it's really busy and noisy every day. They're nice though. It'll be good to be back home. Satisfied with my answer, Eve pulls me forward as we begin our tour in earnest. As she points out this and that though, my thoughts aren't about Eve or my family, but stuck on wanting to be doing this with Eileen. Just as it was whenever I watched her paint, I feel like I'm watching her life from outside rather than sharing our time together. I don't doubt that she likes me. She certainly likes me in a physical sense. I like those times too, but I feel like I'm the only one who wants us to become closer in more than just a physical sense. I'm the one who planned our first date. I'm the one who asked to come here. Now I'm wondering if Eileen even wanted any of this. The one time I thought Eileen wanted to share something with me, she was just using me to distract herself from her problems. Problems that she wouldn't talk to me about. All I can do is sigh. Oh, what's wrong? Just a shame your sister was busy, that's all.
Allison!
Is Eileen having a good time in college?
Huh?
Why do you ask? Mom said she was worried about Eileen since she moved out, but when Eileen's around they always argue.
Oh.
Is she really alright? Eve says this with genuine worry in her voice. Eileen's parents really do care about her, even if she doesn't think so sometimes. Eileen's fine. Every day she's making pretty paintings and having fun with friends, and she helped me a lot since I met her. Eileen's always been fine now that I think about it. Ever since we met, I've merely watched her as she lived her life. Since getting together, has anything really changed? For all our intimacy, she still treats me the same way she always has, all while relentlessly pursuing her ambition. No, I can't think like that. I'm getting myself wound up. Your parents are nice, aren't they? She gives an enthusiastic nod. They think you're nice too, since you hang out with me. At least they think I'm useful, I suppose. I never realized it before, but having a little sister is really fun. Not that I mind my own siblings, but 3 older brothers aren't quite the same company. Let's see some more of town before we have to go back then, okay?
Gotcha.
Yeah! Finally back from our trip after a bus ride back. Eve bounced through the door as I dragged myself in and closed it behind us. I don't know how kids can have so much energy. Eileen stands with a glass of water, looking non-puzzled at our entrance before noticing the new book held tightly under Eve's arm as she skips over to the living room sofa. Hang on, I'm just gonna quickly grab a glass of water. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back.
Allison.
You didn't. I can spare that much money. It can be her Christmas present for me. You're enjoying having a little sis, aren't you? She got me. How's the painting going? Need to go down to the city soon for supplies and stuff. Then why didn't you come with us? No art supply stores around here. Want to come? Oh, okay. I take it back. So I'm along for the ride as usual. Or maybe she wants to spend time with you. Why is she... This is a difficult one because I can see the perspective from both of them. But I think right now what Allison needs to do is at least be thinking that Eileen wants to spend time with her. She wants Eileen... she wants Allison to be around her. I feel bad for thinking bad thoughts about her, but I can't muster any real want to come along. I'd just be baggage while she did her thing. Well, that is true. I can sort of see that.
Sorry.
Sorry, still tired from yesterday.
Sure.
Suit yourself. I'll be straight back afterwards. We're having pizza for dinner tonight, by the way. Ah, good. The two of us briefly wonder how to continue conversation, but I can't think of anything to add. With that, she wanders back to her room to keep painting. I feel like I should follow, at least to see how her painting's coming along, but my feet feel stuck. Left to mill about alone as Eve can be heard happily humming to herself from the sofa, I decide to turn around and head back to the door for some air. The warm afternoon air is starting to fade by now, causing me to push my hands into my pockets to try and save whatever warmth I can. At the rate the weather is going, it's sure going to be a cold Christmas. At least the snowmen are liking it, still standing tall as they guard Eileen's house from the front yard. It's easy to lose sight of when inside, but her house sure is big. Even the yard's pretty spacious, but I suppose living so far from town would help that. A nice house, enough money to live alone on her parents' dime, trips all the way to Germany. Eileen really did get a good start in life compared to me. It annoys me a little that she doesn't seem to see that, especially when it's her parents paying for her apartment. Painting alone in a room, hiking alone in the woods, living alone in an apartment too big for one person. Is that really independence? Moving out away from her parents but still relying on them for everything? Try as I might to get closer to Eileen, I can't help but feel I'm just hanging around her. That sucks. When I'm looking at her back, is it just because she's always ahead of me? Why shouldn't she turn around to look at me? I wonder what I really am to Eileen. The fact that I can't work out an answer makes me restless. Yeah, I totally get that. As a lump starts to form in my throat, I quickly decide to wander back inside. All I'm doing is making myself feel worse by dwelling on all this. I should make the most of my time here, given I only have a few days left. Wow, what a lovely place. The park makes for a peaceful sight as we enter, the three of us slipping between the low wooden barriers as we step from the rough concrete car park onto the snow-covered grass. A bundled up Eve clings tightly to Eileen, and with both her little hands, each of us on either side of her. Oh, that's sweet. A bag of old bread swings away at Eileen's other side, destined for the local wildlife. You shouldn't feed them bread! You do with like frozen peas or something. Bread is bad. I feel like a killjoy to say, ah! Wait, then I'm a killjoy too. Well, I don't mind being a killjoy if it's in the betterment of wildlife. Don't feed wildlife bread. I'll feel like a killjoy to say bread isn't good for them. With the two of us acting as babysitters, thanks to Eileen's parents working, we decided it'd be better to head outside than let her vegetate on the couch watching cartoons all day. Tired from the walk, I take a seat on the... You need to get in shape, girl. I take a seat on the swings facing the lake as Eileen mothers around Eve. Tugging at the girl's scarf to pull it tight, Eileen hands over the bag of bread for the ducks before ruffling her hair affectionately. I wonder if that's why Eileen does that to me now that I think of it. With her sister having finished her fussing, Eve turns and starts for the shore while Eileen watches her intently. Be careful around the water, Eve. I'm not getting in there, it's freaking cold, so if you plop in, you're on your own.
Okay.
The ducks peacefully floating about the still lake start flapping about excitedly, quickly realizing that the girl waddling towards them comes bearing food. Satisfied that Eve isn't going to topple over in her rush and flop in, Eileen wanders back towards me and seats herself on the other swing, all the while keeping a keen eye out. It looks like nobody else is here at all. It is getting rather cold, but it's more likely people being busy with the holiday sales. I think the lake to be frozen over given how still it is, save for the birds floating around.
She's cute.
Yeah.
While Eileen smiles warmly at her sister, I struggle to do the same. I'll soon have to make the call for Rose to pick me up. After all, leaving behind this lovely town, Eileen, Eve, their parents, I'm not sure when I'll get to see them again. Eve clumsily crumbs the bread in her gloved hands, chucking it out into the lake with varying degrees of success. Aw. Half the crumbs ends up dropping to the ground at her feet, but she doesn't seem to notice.
Is something up? You've been kind of quiet over the last couple of days. I really don't get how you're such an upbeat person in general, though.
Nor do I get how she's so comfortable being so alone, so apart. The more I'm around her, the more different I feel we are.
I just think it's better to see the best in people.
I have to admit, I wish I could be like that.
Why not try being more friendly in general? Every time I see you, you're closing yourself off to focus on painting or trekking out in the wilderness.
The more I get tied up with people, the harder it is to do what I want to do. You should know that better than most, with Caprice and all.
You shouldn't talk so badly about her all the time. She just wants everyone around her to enjoy themselves.
I'm a little taken aback at how firm my tone is, but I'm starting to get tired of how she's always so critical. I force myself to keep my eyes on Eileen despite her own surprise. Maybe it's for the best if I clear the air and talk about this directly. Yeah. Our concentration is broken by Eve giggling loudly in the distance, the birds enthusiastically crowding around in front of her and occasionally flapping at the water. Away at the water.
Come on, what's this about? I get the feeling something's on your mind.
It feels like we're hanging around each other, but not actually.
Hanging around with each other. I pause for a moment to phrase my thoughts correctly, trying not to let emotions cloud my thinking. Eileen, thankfully, patiently awaits for me.
I guess it feels like I'm along for the ride. It doesn't feel like I'm really there with you.
What, here? We've been spending a lot of time together and we've had some nice time to ourselves, right?
Is that all this is to you?
As silence reigns, the fact that she even needs to think about this is a bit upsetting. I don't know how relationships are supposed to go, but it feels like we both have very different ideas about it.
What am I supposed to say? Is there something more you want from me? I'm just not as clingy as you are.
Clingy? I just want to be by your side. You would have gone off without me the other day if you felt like you could.
Yeah, but I was being considerate of your feelings. Is that a problem?
Yes it is.
It just feels like you'd rather I wasn't there.
I like being with you, you know that. But I've been fine on my own all this time too. I don't need you to be there.
Even though I always want to spend more time with her, she doesn't even care whether or not I'm there.
You have it so together. I've always admired that about you. Maybe you have it too together. Before coming here, I didn't realize how good a life you left behind when you moved away. To drop everything here, including Eve, to pursue art at a community college?
Oh, she's starting to sound like the mother.
From the way you talked about your family, I thought they must be really hard on you. They just want what's best. I mean, the apartment you have seems like it wouldn't be cheap for them to cover, for one.
Because I don't hear that enough from them every time I'm around here.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we just drop this? I like being around you because you don't bring up that stuff.
Is that all you want from me? A quiet girlfriend who doesn't ask questions and leaves you alone?
Eileen takes to her feet, her mood significantly souring. While I freeze up, I don't feel like shrinking from her for once.
Am I only only here to distract you from your parents?
You're the one who begged to come. I told you that you would come precisely because I didn't think you'd go sticking your nose into my life.
But I want to learn more about you. That's what having a relationship is.
Maybe we should cut this here and take this conversation up another time when we aren't responsible for a child. A child that might come into the conversation in a moment once she's done feeding the dogs. And even though you don't speak a word about it, she will feel the tension.
That's up to me, not you. This is why you shouldn't have come in the first place.
She points in the general direction of her house.
I'm used to enduring their crap already. I didn't need you here to make things worse. I'm already hearing from them about how my girlfriend has a better life path than I do.
So that's my fault. I think I'm shaking. My eyes are stinging from salt waiting to flood out.
Maybe they have a point. Did you think any of this through beyond just escaping them? Is that all our relationship is, too?
I had my life on track before I even met you. Just because you and Caprice want to come along and try to push me around, it doesn't mean I'm going to derail myself.
Is that how she thinks of it? Didn't she agree to the art club? Didn't she agree to date me? Didn't she say she loves me? Hearing the sounds of footsteps on the snow, the two of us turn in unison towards Eve, standing a few yards away with an empty bread bag held in her hands.
Is something wrong?
I told you! Eileen looks to me for a long while, her face full of frustration, and the child obviously picking up on that. God, when the fuck does people start thinking about the children? I sound like a mother myself now, Jesus. I don't think either of us really knows what we should say next, even without Eve being around. Settling herself with a long breath, Eileen smiles as she turns back to Eve. I don't think I'll ever get used to how she shifts her entire demeanor like that.
Everything's fine. Don't worry. It's about time we headed back home.
But I want to keep feeding the ducks.
That's going to be hard without any more bread. Come on, it's about time we had some food ourselves.
She gives one final glance back before taking Eve's hand in her own and walking on ahead. I thought I was someone important to Eileen, but I feel more like I'm just being used to make herself feel better while she lives here. She lives for her work. I know I have my faults. I'm not good enough at art to share the hobby with her, and I was barely even able to help cook a simple dinner. I'm trying to get better though, and that's thanks in part to her. The image I had of her is starting to become difficult to see. Who was the Eileen I admired? The beautiful girl in the beautiful apartment with the beautiful paintings. This Eileen is someone so at odds with her family, she decided to only care about herself. As I watch her leave hand in hand with Eve, she looks even ever farther away from me. Maybe she's only so far away because we aren't walking on the same path. The jingle of the old bell above the grocery store door. Oh my god, hang on. Let me just sip my drink here. Then I'll be right with you. The jingle of the old bell above the grocery store door rings out as we step through into the streets. There's a slight chill to the air, but that hasn't stopped a good few elderly people from hobbling along the town street. Aside from needing to tell Eve she shouldn't have this sugary snack or that as we walked around, shopping ended up being a quiet affair. Eileen went through the shelves with her usual military efficiency as she ticked off her mental checklist. Yesterday's argument between us hasn't helped. But that's not the only reason for Eileen's quietness. She might not even realize it herself, but it's small things like that which remind me of her solitary nature. That ability to tune others out so easily isn't something that comes naturally, at least to me. For want of helping at least a little, I took one of the overstuffed bags we ended up with to carry myself.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming and helping carrying all this.
Sure.
It's fine. I wanted to see a bit of the town anyway.
Eileen!
Can we sit down? I'm tired. It's not that far to the car. Jeez, people get in shape here.
Hey.
Wouldn't hurt to rest a bit, would it? I mean, there's a bench right up there. Jesus. Taking Eve's side doesn't win me any favors, but Eileen knows she's been overruled. As Eve jumps back onto the seat without any further prompting needed, Eileen and I carefully set our grocery bags on the ground and join her. Her parents sure chose a nice place to live. More a town than a city, the wooden buildings and stone retaining walls give us distinctly old-fashioned natural look. Even the Christmas decorations are understated, amounting to the occasional sign behind a shop window. The odd person walks to and fro as we sit back, paying us little heed as they slowly go about their day. This should be the easiest occasion possible to make idle chatter with Eileen. As time lingers on though, the silence between us does also. Eve doesn't notice, of course. As far as you know, her little legs swinging up and down as she lazily watches the odd car go past. As she suddenly brightens up and points ahead, Eileen and I follow her gaze. Inside the small ice cream parlor over the road, an old man in a pinstripe uniform turns the sign behind the glass door from closed to open.
No.
Don't even think about it. Oh, come on, I've been good. You know what Mom said. You can't just have ice cream whenever you want. Besides, why would you even want ice cream when it's cold already? There's ice right here. Dunk your face. Eileen's answer doesn't exactly satisfy the young girl. After a moment's consideration, I take to my feet and start heading over.
Allison.
I was just feeling like getting some ice cream for myself here, huh? Might as well get her one while I'm already there, right? Or should I just care about myself here, huh? Strawberry!
Sure thing.
2 strawberry ice creams coming right up. Do you want something or should I paint you one? With our sweets quickly devoured, we finished off the last of our cones. They sure served them large here, but Eve managed to finish off hers even quicker than I did. Maybe eating ice cream is one of those skills kids are just better at. Without needing to be asked, Eileen pulls a tissue from a box in the back and curtly wipes Eve's mouth. I get the feeling she'd enjoy being a mother, given how she fusses about her little sister. As Eileen looks to me, I notice that I'm smiling at her. My face collapses as she opens her mouth to speak, but visibly thinks better of it. As much as I want to make amends, I don't want to apologize if I'm not wrong. With neither of us willing to back down, nor wanting to fight each other again, yesterday's argument looms over us as the elephant in the room. Focusing my attention on a less stressful topic, my gaze falls to Eve, the two of us sharing a brief smile.
I guess it isn't long now, huh?
Eve and I just look to each other, but it becomes quickly apparent that the topics reminded Eileen of something I'd been avoiding.
You're being extra nice because you're going back, aren't you?
As Eve looks to and fro between Eileen and I try my best to hide my disappointment in being found out. I was trying to think of a better way to break it before Eileen handled it so bluntly. It couldn't last forever, but I wanted to keep enjoying these carefree days just a little while longer. Maybe it was selfish of me to not make myself clearer, but...
Wait,
do have my own family I want to spend time with.
Despite my best efforts to try and deliver the news as gently as possible, her bottom lip starts to quiver. Both of us panic a little as it becomes clear Eve's about to crack.
Eve?
Aww. See, and in the beginning she was like, get her out of here, she's stealing my sister, and now she's like, don't go. Her composure collapses as she reaches over, her face weeping as she stuffs it into my stomach and grabs at my skirt.
I don't want you to go, Allison! Stay here! I want you to stay!
This has gone about as awfully as it could have done. No, I disagree. Had she said, oh, thankfully, now you're going, that would have been way worse. Glaring at Eileen in frustration. What? I seem to have made my feelings clear to her as she turns rather sheepish. As Eve cries into my stomach, I stroke her shuddering head reassuringly, speaking as calmly as I can.
Come on now. Do you want me to remember you crying? Or with a big smile?
My gentle suggestion seems to work as Eve pulls back and sniffs hard, her little cheeks still stained red. She doesn't manage a smile, but I'll take what I can.
There we go. That's more like the Eve I know. It's been so much fun playing with you. So, I wanted to thank you with a little something for being such a good girl.
Oh, you're gonna come back, right?
Don't worry. I'll come back. Maybe you could even come to Utah and see my home for yourself.
As she clumsily wipes her eyes, I give a big smile.
Really?
Eileen just scratches the back of her head, trying not to make things worse. We might have our disagreements, but I think we can at least hold things together for Eve's sake.
I guess we can try to work something out.
Eve looks from Eileen back to me, taking my hand in both of hers with as much strength as her little hands can muster.
Promise me, we're gonna play again, right?
I just smile as I bring my free hand over both of hers.
I promise.
At that, she gives that toothy grin that I so like to see. She really is a charming little girl.
I guess that settles things then. Now come on, you two. Let's get all this back to the car.
A quiet yawn fills the living room as I tiredly wander through, the others in the house being quiet as mice. I really should have just gone to bed early like the others, in hindsight. Restless from the thought of the trip back, I ended up sitting around and watching television long after Eileen left for bed. Try as I might to find her to say goodnight before going to sleep though, she's nowhere to be seen. Running through the possibilities, I wander up to Eve's room, opening the door as gently as I possibly can. The sight inside makes me feel warm just by looking at them. Oh. Eileen sleeps on her side, wrapped around the slumbering Eve, curled up in a ball on top of her bed. Eve must have wanted one last cuddle before tucking in for the night. I just smile as I silently look over them, slumbering peacefully together. Even as I look at them, I wonder if I belong in their world. We have briefly pushed it from our minds, but I think both of us knows that the closer we've become, the further apart we've felt. Yeah, sometimes it's just like that, sadly. With Eileen's peaceful sleeping face lingering in my mind, I gently close the bedroom door and head slowly back down the stairs. It's going to be hard saying goodbye to Eve. It's been nice to have a little sister, and I think she's enjoying having two older sisters dotting over her just as much. Then there's Eileen. As I tried to settle myself before going to bed, I idly noticed my phone left on the couch. Taking it in hand to bring it with me, I pause. Eileen left hers on the table some distance away, the moonlight glinting off its screen. My heart stings as I turn on my own and unlock the display. Only the oppressive quiet is here to keep me company as I look down, a heavy weight weighing on me as I ponder. Eileen always did enjoy playing with her new phone. In time, she'll hear what I was too cowardly to say. Thinking of the girl I admired so much, I make the call. It doesn't go answered. She never changed the default voicemail message. As the uncharacteristically cheerful tone asks me to leave a message, my voice is barely a whisper for fear of waking them.
When I said that we had a family with our little art club at college, I really did mean it. It might not be much, but it's ours. You were an important part of that.
I pause for a moment, my heart stinging as I think of her. Even if it hurts, I know it needs to be said.
Maybe it was naive of me to think that way. Maybe I've been having the wrong idea all this time. I think...
My throat tightens. I wipe my eyes on my sleeve.
I must have looked pretty stupid. I was so excited to be in love and to have a girlfriend that I pushed and pushed to get into your space. But you didn't let me. You didn't want me to. And even now, I can't even muster the courage to tell you this when you're awake. I don't know where things will go from here. I want you to be happy. But I don't know if I can be the person who does that for you.
Ooh, okay, this took a turn. I did see it coming, but it's grabbing me a little more emotionally, because I have been in this exact situation, being the one to state these words. And it's just bringing me back to that time a little, so I got dragged into this. Got a little emotional here, sorry. In the end, the anger and frustration I felt that everything is nowhere to be found. Yeah, exactly. There's just an emptiness. I can at least yell and vent to let go of the former, but nothing can fill that hollow feeling.
Good night, Eileen.
With that, I end the call. Silence returns to the dark room once more. The snowfall is thankfully light as I walk through the city, bags in hand from the day's last-minute shopping downtown. People calmly walk to and fro, the occasional passerby of Eileen's country home replaced by the crowds of downtown Utah. Briefly distracted by the huge Christmas tree, completed just in time for Christmas Eve, I think back to yesterday's events. When all's said and done, leaving Eileen's family ended up being a calm affair. I gave her parents my thanks for taking care of me at such short notice, and both said they'd be more than happy to have me again. Eve had also reluctantly come to terms with my leaving by then. Then there was the matter of Eileen. Our sullen farewell was short and sweet, but maybe that was because there wasn't much left to say. Thanks to my time in Colorado, a surprising amount of things I needed to buy before heading back to my family slipped my mind. At least wandering around the city tonight's giving me a chance to unwind and set my thoughts straight. Of course my phone starts ringing as soon as I appreciate some time alone to think. Pulling it from my pocket with my free hand, I'm surprised to see it's Dad. Hi, Allison. Not catching you at a bad time here, am I? No, it's fine. Sounds like you're busy. I can barely hear you. Jesus. Just wandering about downtown to fill some time and do some errands. Still good to be picked up for tomorrow morning? Yeah, I'll be ready at the apartment with all my stuff. Sorry again about changing everyone's plans. I told you before, it's fine. Plans already had to change because of your finals. We'll pick you up tomorrow then. It'll be good to see everyone again. Is Mom doing okay? She's better, thankfully. You gave a bit of a shock when you said you weren't coming back for so long. Jesus, she nearly had a heart attack. We were all shocked. It seemed like you were having a rough time away from home, so I never expected you to go out of state like that. So they could tell. I feel a little sheepish thinking back. So you had a good trip then? I feel a chill as the last few days rush through my head. Yeah, I did. Huh? Once again, Dad can tell just from my voice. It's impossible for me to hide how I'm feeling. Something in me compels me to try anyway. Wait, what? I had fun! Don't even jerk at me like that. Well, when you're home, you'll tell us all about it, right? Of course. I'm looking forward to it. I am too. You know that you can tell me anything.
Take care.
I know. Bye, Dad. See you soon. Love ya. With that, the call ends. I stare blankly at the screen of my phone. I'll be happy to see my family again, not to mention the warmth and liveliness of home. I have to take a deep breath, a lump in my throat forming from homesickness. I guess that feeling never goes away completely. With the phone already out, I take a moment to glance through the photos I've taken on it. A few from Colorado are most recent, which will be nice to show to my parents. As I keep going back though, I stop at a photo taken just before I left for there. The screen shines brightly in the darkness of the night. The photo of everyone gathered in my apartment celebrating the end of semester, making me mull over everything that's happened since I arrived here. It's only been a few months, but my time since starting college has been an adventure already. I've learned so much, found so many friends, and discovered so many kinds of relationships. It's such a different way of life I lead now. The smiling faces all gathered from that one moment in time. It's all thanks to those around me like them. The phone goes dark once more as I lock it. The precious memory slipped into my pocket once more. The only light to be seen now is that cast by the Christmas tree, occasionally broken by the passing crowds. A strange sense of calm falls over me as I stand in the falling snow, hands slipped into my pockets for warmth. I was alone and afraid. Eileen was the answer to that, I thought. She seemed so cool and collected, managing life by herself. That strength of will was what drew me to her in hindsight. It was thanks to Eileen, Caprice, and our little club that I was able to cope with being alone. The reason that I'm so at peace with myself isn't that I've finally learned to live without others. It's because I know I have others to help. Maybe I was too clingy, as Eileen said. I just wanted to know her more, even if she was brusque at the best of times. If she wants to retain her solitude so dearly, though, perhaps it's for the best that things go like this. Swallowing the lump in my throat as I push the thoughts aside, I begin to walk once more. It's then that my phone begins to buzz in my pocket. Did Dad forget to say something? Eileen? Why is she calling me now of all times? Should I answer? My phone is shaking in my hand. I pick up the call, but I have no idea what to say.
Hello? Allison? Allison, where are you right now?
She doesn't allow me to so much as get a word out, her voice breathless. I'm back home in Utah.
No, I mean, I know. So am I. Can we meet somewhere? Where are you exactly?
I'm by the Christmas tree. In the city square.
Okay, stay where you are.
As the line goes dead, I'm left dumbfounded. Eileen is coming here. Within moments, I hear a car door slam loudly. Surely she wasn't looking around for me. A familiar figure jogs up as quickly as she can in her high boots, her long strides clinking loudly on concrete. As she slowly pulls up to a stop, our eyes finally meet, and so we stand in the city square next to that large tree. Between us, only the falling snow.
Eileen, why are you...
What? You didn't want to see me?
I almost respond, but sheer surprise stops me from finding the right words. I end up just hanging my head, not knowing how to respond to her snark in such a situation. With my back swaying down my arms, I set them down. As I look back up, I see Eileen's quip for what it was, a diversion to hide her feelings. She soon realizes I've caught on her voice turning soft.
I found your voice message. I didn't want to leave things as they were.
My face flowers into a blush as I grimace from embarrassment. I knew she'd eventually hear it, but it's still embarrassing to think about. As I think back to everything that happened, I feel a pang of regret. Once again, I feel myself shrinking away from her.
But haven't I been a pain? Ever since we met, I've only caused you trouble.
Yeah, you sure have.
There's that sardonic humor again. I can't remember if I ever found it endearing.
Why do you do that? Your first response to everything is to try and brush things off with a quip against someone.
Only because everyone sticks their nose into my business.
Including me, I guess.
I follow that up with a dry laugh, yet Eileen's expression doesn't change. I should have expected that. But I feel my chest tighten in response nevertheless.
I already had things figured out for myself.
As silence reigns, it feels as though we're just repeating the steps we took until now. Nothing's changed. I'm still me and Eileen is still Eileen. For all I might want to get closer to her, she still keeps pushing me away. She came all the way back here to work things out, yet we're still stuck awkwardly trading barbs. Everything we did together, was it only ever a pain to you?
I didn't want to say it, but...
I steel my heart to try and force out the words, tightly holding my arm to try and steady myself.
I suppose this is all over, then?
No!
Her shout startles me, the point where she recoils a little from my reaction. I guess we're both getting flustered.
I mean, that's not what I meant.
Reminding us that we're not alone, a small child goes running by us as her mother runs after her. The distraction gives Eileen time to reason through all this, while I try my best to ignore the stinging of my heart. Everything is so confusing right now.
Every day was the same. Living alone in my apartment and working away in that art room. I thought I was fine being alone until you came into my life and messed everything up. When I thought you might really be gone, I realized how lonely I was. I meant what I said earlier. I can forget all my worries around you. I don't have to work hard and worry about being my best. I don't have to prove anything. And I thought you'd understand. I didn't ever expect you to take my parents' side. I didn't think you'd try to tell me I'm making the wrong choices.
My heart sinks. Is that how it looked to her? Like I betrayed her? How could I? I've always seen what her parents can't see. Always seen what her parents can't. She's serious about painting. If there's one thing I know about her, it's that. Why would I want to ruin that world of hers that I found so fascinating?
But when I thought I might lose you, I realized you were right. For all I talked big about how you should try new things in college, I was the one pushing everyone away and trying to stay the same.
As I tried to think of how to explain myself, I realized Eileen's eyes have become moist. It's such a strange sight that I completely lose track of what I was going to say. Moments pass as I think over her words, trying to sift through my emotions. She looks so different now, her proud stature somehow smaller and more fragile. She's scared. Seeing her in this state puts me on the brink of tears as well. I know my answer already, given how seeing her like this affects me.
I only ever wanted to be the person closest to you. Why would I want to ruin that world of yours when it's what brought us together? Let's try again, Eileen.
Without warning, she pulls me into an embrace, arms wrapped tightly around me. My brain short-circuits as she begins to weep, completely unable to handle the situation. I have no idea what to say as she clutches me tightly to her shuddering body, my own composure barely holding as my arms slowly raise and come around her back. Oh, I see now. Eileen's finally cracked under the pressure. That wall she carefully built up over so many years finally crumbling down at once. I hold her tightly to me as she cries, trying my best to comfort her. She's here and in my arms. This vulnerable and honest girl is for only me to see, my own eyes only barely staying dry. This Eileen is one I've never seen, but she's the Eileen I've fallen for all over again.
Thank you, Allison.
I feel a lump in my throat as I stroke her hair, trying my best to soothe her.
I love you, Allison. I love you.
Holding her close as her words are muffled into my shoulder, I close my eyes and savor the feeling of her against me. Eileen loves me. This feeling, this warmth through my entire body as I hear those words. I guess I really am in love with this hopeless girl.
And I love you. Let's do this together.
We're such different people with wildly different backgrounds and worlds of our own. As long as the two of us can let each other in, though, we can build a life together, side by side. We can start here.
It's okay, Eileen. I'll come home.
Finish the story for the first time, first snow achievement unlocked. And thus, this little Christmas adventure comes to an end. I'm gonna be fully honest here. I'm a little ambivalent about the ending. Because in one way, I think it's really good to show that people can be different and have like arguments. But in the end, what matters is love. And that people can come together even though they might have differences. But at the same time, I think it would also have been a very, very good message to show, to let this story be built around that sometimes we react very fast to what is like fascination with someone that we maybe interpret as love, or it may even be love at that point, but quickly once that initial fascination settles, we realize that maybe we don't belong together. Maybe we love each other and that's one thing, but at the same time we're just too different, or our paths are going in different directions. And also the reason why I wanted that ending a little bit is also because it would have made this story different from all the romance movies we see where people are like, oh, we fight, then we break up, and then we get together, the end. I think it would actually have been a cute story if we had this loving couple that in the end had to realize that maybe they reacted too fast. Maybe it was more fascination that they reacted upon more than love. Maybe it was Allison being lonely and away from everything, and then she found something in Eileen being like companionship, and that's more what this was about than love. But again, I don't want to take anything away from the story or the ending or the love between them. I think it is good that people can be different and have different aspects of themselves, maybe even clash with your significant other at times, but still in the end, love prevails. But I think overall this was a really cute and good story. I think it was a very well put together visual novel. And I think if anything to take away from this, let's set love aside for a moment and just look at the general picture of the story. I think what I have learned the most from playing this is that enjoy the moments. Because at some point it could all change. It can change in the blink of an eye. I think we as humans take a lot of things for granted, or we have a tendency to think too far ahead into the future instead of just looking around us and say like, I am here right now. I feel this right now. I am in this moment. I'm gonna enjoy now and not worry about what comes tomorrow. It's a fault I have committed many a times. So a little bit of a learning experience for myself. I'm very happy I played this. And I hope you enjoyed it too. And with that, I just want to say happy holidays. Regardless of what you celebrate, or if you celebrate it at all, it doesn't matter. Because one thing we can all celebrate, despite of us, if we say Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, don't say anything at all, or anything else apart from that, is that we can enjoy the moment. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sharing this moment with me. And until that next time, bye.